Talk Show. Recorded live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Genesis Science Fiction Radio Show, a service of the Black Science Fiction Society.com website. I'm William Hayashi, your host for tonight, and our special guest is, for the evening, is Sophia Stewart, who has written at least a couple books that I've taken a quick glance at. One is Third Eye, and one is Matrix 4. And she is coming to us. Where are you still in? Where are you? Near Vegas? In Vegas?
I am in Vegas. Been living in Vegas since '05. Love Vegas, but I'm a New Yorker. I'm from New York City, but currently living in Vegas since '05.
Well, welcome to the show, and thank you for sharing your time with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
You mentioned that you were like a New Yorker. You know, did you grow up in the New York area, or where were you born and raised?
I'm a New Yorker, totally New York, all the way, the boogie down Bronx. I used to live in Harlem, of course, and Manhattan, but love the Bronx.
Uh-huh. And were you there most of your, the growing up time through school, through elementary and high school?
I would say I was there.
And so as a New Yorker and someone growing up there, when did you, about how old were you when you discovered that you were either wanted to be a creative or you were a creative?
Didn't work like that. When I got into, when I was in the 7th grade, my English teacher got sick, and so a college professor came over to teach her class, and he said all he knew to teach was writing. And so that's when I had my first writing experience. So by the time I got into college, I had some very famous teachers like Max Siegel, former journalist with the New York Times, Emile Capuglia, Big Apple playwright. Paul Cherry, Big Apple playwright, Emile Capuglia was an essay critic, author, essayist.
Okay.
These were my teachers. Leon Roth, the producer, whose son is the screenwriter, Eric Roth, that wrote Forrest Gump and Benjamin Button. He got his first Oscar for Airport 79.
And so was your focus or was your interest in novels, short stories? Where did your interest lie at the very beginning? Like for me, I was a novelist before I ever wrote a short story.
All I did was just like anybody who loved painting or who loved playing instruments. I just loved to write. I wasn't thinking about any particular novel or, comic books or anything. And, I did read a lot of comic books when I was growing up. I was just writing, that's all. And what inspired me to write The Matrix and Terminator was the fact that I love science fiction, for one thing, and I wanted to create black superheroes for our kids to grow up to become anything that they wanted to. At the time when I was going to the Apollo every weekend, I would see the black exploitation movies there when the Sutton brothers owned the Apollo. And it was always these movies that we didn't have any black superheroes, and all the white science fiction movies didn't even have any black people. And if they did have one or two, they died out the first 10 to 20 minutes.
So essentially,
I wanted to
go ahead.
I wanted to create black superheroes.
And so you started doing this very, very young in your writing career then, right? That was your intent, that was your focus, bringing stories light.
When I got to college, I was studying to be a lawyer or a doctor because I wanted to help people. How I got into the media business is this girl named Paula came to our class, and she came in late in our chemistry class. And she told it, and the teacher asked her, what did she do? And she said she worked in the entertainment world, and she worked for Channel 5 in New York. And I don't know, something just bit me. I just got excited, and I just wanted to change my major. And I was already in with 20 credits in psychology and 20 credits in law. And I was taught law by the Brooklyn and Manhattan attorneys. But I don't know, the entertainment world just bit me. It just grabbed me. And I was drawn to it. And so I went and saw the dean. And the dean, usually they don't change your major, but it was kind of weird. This dean was telling me her son was studying also to be a lawyer, and then he wanted to go to film school. And she and her husband was really against that. But I don't know, she began to understand her son's feeling, and she let him, go, and he became very successful. So therefore, she changed my major. And then the first thing I wanted to do was work for television. So the girl was working for Channel 5, so I went and applied for Channel 5, and I went and applied for Channel 13. And the beauty of it is I got offers to both of the stations. And all I had to do was just decide which one I wanted to do. And I decided Channel 13, which I think was a great choice because Channel 13 is public broadcast, it's a sponsored broadcasting, by the elite. The wealthy people sponsor it. It's very educational. And then I got to work with one of the most phenomenal producers in the world, an Oscar award-winning producer, Perry Miller Adato.
Okay, but
that's how it all got started. That's how it all got started.
What kind of work did you want to do in television? I mean, did you want to be behind, technical, behind the camera? Were you helping them editorially? I mean, when you got your first job in television, what were you doing?
I was a production assistant for the Oscar award producer Perry Miller Adato. I was a PA.
Okay, so just doing the regular production stuff, the running hither and yon, making sure that all the T's are dotted and the I's. No, I guess that would be I's are dotted, T's are crossed. Yes. I
had my own office, and she had her own office, and I opened up for her, and she would come in late, so sometimes I could come in late, and sometimes I would go over there and do work at the studios with her. It's whatever the producer wanted.
Sure. And about how long were you in that position?
Oh, I guess for 6 months. 6 months.
Okay, that's not really long. Where and where did you go from there?
You gotta realize I was going to college to get my degree.
At the same time.
At the same time. So I only had 6 months to spare before I was leaving. I was getting ready to graduate and go to USC Film School.
Okay.
So I only had 6 months to give to that, which was really phenomenally great.
Well, I mean, it sounds like if you're working for somebody like that, you're probably going to get a wealth of experience, just in the short amount of time you're there. There's a lot of things that PAs do, both for television and for film. And I would also imagine you got a pretty good idea of what television was all about. Did it, once you went to film school, did TV still hold some sway over what you wanted to do?
No, let me tell you this. I told her I was leaving Perry Miller Adato, and she was kind of heartbroken. And she asked me why. I said, because I want to be you. I want to win the Oscar. I want to be you. And she understood. It put a big smile on her face. Because that was her. She understood that. I wanted to go on to bigger and greater things, and that wasn't going to happen if I stay in a position of a PA, a production assistant.
Yeah, that is largely true. At the same time, while you were a PA and you were in school, were you doing any creative writing as well?
That's exactly what I was doing. I was studying under Max Siegel, former journalist with the New York Times, Emil Kapudia, author, essay critic, and Big Apple playwright Paul Cherry. Those were my teachers, among others. Yes, all of once the dean changed my major, those were the teachers who were teaching writing classes. Max was teaching about the newspaper industry. He was a celebrated journalist. Paul Cherry was a celebrated Big Apple playwright. And Emil Kapudia, he was an author.
No, I understand it.
So forth. Yeah, but I'm letting people know. No, I'm letting the people know who these people are and what type of writing I was learning from these phenomenal people.
I understand you were learning from these phenomenal people, but my question to you is, were you doing writing other than school writing at that time? Had you already started doing your own personal writing?
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, my teachers were just blown away by my writings. They were giving me great compliments. Max Siegel told me before the whole class that I didn't have to ever write anything ever again in his class after he viewed my writing. He said that there was nothing he could teach me, that I was already a professional writer. And you got to realize I've been writing since I was in the 7th grade. So I had a big stretch over all the other students. I've been writing for a long time.
Right.
It wasn't my aspiration. I was only learning the craft as a kid because the teacher was teaching us. But it wasn't something I was thinking about becoming. I was thinking about becoming a lawyer or a doctor. That's why I won my case pro se, because I have a gift in law also. So I wanted to help people. So I wasn't thinking about writing or that writing would heal or help people. I was thinking about the skills that I knew about becoming a lawyer or a doctor to help people with cases, law cases, or help people who were medically sick. Those were my intents in school.
And so about how long how long was it when you were in school that you switched from law to your interest in more theater-driven?
I just told you when the girl Paula came into my chemistry class.
I know. Look, I know what you told me. I was just trying to find out about how long. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show the people who are listening, the genesis, the evolution of you as a creative, because not everybody starts out. Like I was in my 40s when I wrote the first thing that I wrote. So I did a lot of different things before I got to the point where I decided to write a novel. And that's, part and parcel of what any creative is. I think people are interested to see, at least early on, how they got where they got. And going to USC Film School, that's huge. I mean, it's one of the most renowned creative schools in the country. And so going there, after having all of those great people to help you with your writing, I think probably laid a good foundation for the kinds of things that you did later.
They didn't help me with my writing. They saw that I was a brilliant writer already because I've been doing it since I was in the 7th grade. But I was not aspiring that. The reason why I went to USC Film School was because I had a superstar boyfriend named Anthony Davis, who was a superstar pro football player. And he was a Heisman winner, and USC was his school. So he had me to move to California to be with him, and he wanted me to go to USC. And while I was going to USC, I started working for a law firm in Beverly Hills, and I also started working at the studio, Columbia Pictures.
Wow.
And Vice President Dick Barris's office and the producer Brandon Cahill, Fantasy Island. Now, this is when I decided I wanted to be a screenwriter because Dick Barris felt that I would become a very brilliant screenwriter. So he gave me 5 scripts, first draft scripts. One of them was From Here to Eternity, the movie with Burt Lancaster and Deborah Carr.
Yes, rolling around in the surf.
Yes. Well, he gave me these 5 first draft scripts, which I still have some of them left. And he kept calling me into his office and introducing me to various producers and people, telling them about me. He felt that there was something phenomenal about me. And I had saw Star Wars in the late 70s, and so I decided to write a script and send it to 20th Century Fox, hoping that George Lucas would direct my work. And my work was just the opposite of Star Wars, The Matrix and The Terminator. The Terminator is the prequel to The Matrix. So that's how it all got started. Because I wanted Lucas to direct my work, and a vice president over there, Susan Mesbach, got hold of my script, loved it, called me, and wrote me a letter. Well, I got quite a few letters from 20th Century Fox. That 20th Century Fox was interested in buying my script.
And did they?
No, Susan Mesbach stole it and took it to Paramount, where her friend Gail Ann Hurd and James Cameron was.
So, you know, it sounds very much to me like obviously you had some great ideas. Otherwise, people wouldn't have stolen them from you. When you have something like that happen,
they didn't steal my ideas. They stole a script in a book.
It
was a
right.
copyrighted script and book that they stole, and
Right.
with characters, graphics, special effects, the whole 9 yards.
And so after they stole your work, what was the next step that you took? Did you know this right away, or was it only
no,
into production?
I didn't know anything about the Terminator. I had no idea. I was married in '84 with a kid. I just had a kid. The Terminator came out October the 25th, 1984, and I just had a baby. And married. So I wasn't going to any movie theaters. I didn't find out about the stuff until I went to the movie theaters March the 31st, 1999 with The Matrix. And, of course, being a paralegal and working for a law firm and to have done cases before, I knew to call the legal department, and Warner Brothers was waiting for me because I had copyrighted work. And when you look at the copyright, you can see my address, Bronx, New York. All of this is in the Third Eye book. So I know Jarvis have already seen all of the stuff that I'm speaking about. It's all laid out there for people to see. That the FBI validated the theft. They offered me money, $5 to $7 million. They put an in-house attorney, Susan Newlack, on me. Judy Newlack on me, and she told me not to settle with them. She said she and others had seen the Wachowski brothers using my work on the movie set, so not to settle. And so I called up the U.S. Attorney's Office and asked the U.S. Attorney's Office if they would like to prosecute the Matrix case because I was the writer of the Matrix. And, of course, the prosecutor said yes, to go to the FBI, and the FBI would investigate, and they would bring over the evidence, and they would prosecute the case. I come from a law enforcement military family, so I know what to do, and I also studied criminal law.
Okay, then let's just not go through all of the machinations that from there to now. You know, and since you're determined to talk about this, where do you sit today with the entire the whole case that you have, you know, you pushed through the court? Where do you sit today against the studios and against these people who apparently appropriated your work?
I have 3 court cases that you guys are not even aware of. The only thing you're aware of is the first court case because that was huge in the media. That case was sabotaged by 4 attorneys sent by Warner Brothers. Then I had a second court case that I just won in Utah where the 2 federal judges validate by copyright that I am the owner of the derivative movies Matrix and Terminator franchises. And I also got $3.5 billion in liens and over $300,000 in attorney fees, plus those attorney fees can go up to somewhere like $7 million. That's where I am today. I won. And in my third court case is where they were stealing royalties from me at the trademark office. And I've won that case too because I put in the evidence from the Utah court case which validates the FBI, the DOJ, that the Matrix and Terminator were stolen from me, and I'm the owner.
Okay, so you have won the copyright infringement case.
I have won the ownership by 2 federal judges. Validates that as a fact, FACT, page 4, docket 283. For anybody who wants to see it, I'll be glad to give you a copy. That I am the owner of the Matrix and Terminator, and I've been selling it around the entire world since 2005. And you can go on my website, matrixterminator.com, and I've got distribution deals with Amazon and Barnes & Noble. They also sell my book through me.
Okay.
So I can't sell Apple. I guarantee you I can't put my name on Apple and sell it, or Coca-Cola, or Nike. But I can with Matrix because it belongs to me and Terminator.
All right. So you did get a settlement, and it sounds like you say that it's a pretty large settlement?
$3.5 billion. Wouldn't you think that would be large enough?
Well, no, that's a considerable amount of money. And I'm happy that somebody who has that kind of money is spending their Friday night with me. So thank you very much.
Well, even if I had $1, I would still be spending this Friday night with you and others because it's very important that people stand up and protect copyrights and trademarks because intellectual property is just as important as your house, as your car. It's your property, and so no one should steal someone's property or intellectual property that belongs to them or their creativity. It's yours by divine justice. God gave it to you, and no one has rights to it. So it's very important that people learn what I went through so they can avert these things and they can protect their copyrights and intellectual property. Because the studios are stealing lots of people's work, and I know you guys have heard the cases of Gravity and among others, Avatar. I mean, it goes on and on with some of the same people who stole from me. They are now stealing from others. Gravity is an author also who is a bestseller, has several or more books out there, tests. And Avatar is an assortment of other different people with copyrights and contracts.
Well, I think the person who wrote Dances with Wolves definitely has a copyright issue with Avatar. Okay, so obviously it's very important to protect your own intellectual property. For people who think that, copyright is not important, that's the very first step to at least claiming your own work. And for those people who want to write scripts and send them out to see if somebody wants to make their script into a movie, the other thing is to make sure that your scripts are registered, which is, the equivalent of getting your copyright. And a lot of creatives don't work that way because creatives are desperate little monsters. for the most part. And creatives would like to be acknowledged, want to get acknowledged, want to get their works done, things like that. And so sometimes they forget about the shortcuts. And having good legal representation is essential, even though it costs money. Because in the long run, it can make you money, correct?
Well, I would like to say to people, make sure you get copyrights and don't go into this foolish thing that you read in books about a poor man's copyright. That comes from the studios trying to get you to do something stupid like that. Get copyrights, and because the FBI will come in and investigate your claim just like they did mine and validate the theft. Because they will not do an investigation if you don't have copyright, federal copyrights, and federal trademarks. Get the copyrights and the trademarks. Pay the extra money to get it because it's very, very important. Don't let anybody hoodwink you or tell you about any poor man's copyright because that doesn't mean diddly squat nothing in a court of law.
Okay. And so by you having the legal background that you had, and pursuing this through a very long time. I mean, when was the first?
I did not pursue it a long time. I told people what you read on the internet is a bunch of garbage. I did not know about the Terminator 33 years ago or 30 years ago or whatever, back in 84, 30 years ago or 29. I didn't know anything about the Terminator. The FBI told me about the theft of the Terminator in 2001 during their investigation. They said not only did you write The Matrix, but you also wrote the Terminator. So that's the good thing. So my first court case was only from 2003/4 to 2005 to 05, and Warner Brothers and a lot of other people, the Wachowskis, were never adjudicated in the California court case. They lost. You can see the transcript. I can give the transcript to anybody. Before Judge Morrow's ruling came down, June the 13th, 05, they had never even answered the amended complaint. They're still in default. They were terminated on January the 3rd, 05. Also, I want people to know that the second court case only lasted for 7 years, and that's about average for court cases, because some court cases can go 12 to 13 to 15 years. 7 years is about the average, and around maybe $3 to $7 million. So that's the case that I won that went from 07 to 2014. I won the case September the 25th. 2014. And in my third court case, the trademark case, which started December the 16th, 2013, and it's going on to the present right now.
And
so
where is that case? Go ahead.
Well, I've won the case. There's nothing they can do. I put in the facts from the ruling from Utah because they opened up the door saying they wanted to use the court cases outside of the trademark. And I put in the transcript showing that they never got adjudicated, that they never answered the amended complaint, and that I own the Matrix and Terminator. And it's a fact that they cannot dismiss or close the case down on a summary judgment. It's a fact by two federal judges, Evelyn J. First and D. Benson. So there's nothing you can do about the truth. There's nothing you can do about a fact.
Do you have links, or do you have you mentioned you have transcripts. Is that information available on your website so people can see exactly what went on?
Some of it's available, but I also put that you can request it for anybody. I will email it to them and gladly email it to them, so they can send it out to other people so they can see that these people put you guys in the matrix. They told a lot of lies to you guys. And the only thing that sets you free from a lie is the truth. And what is the truth? When you look at the court documents and call the court documents, and they'll verify that the documents are legit. I cannot put out any fraudulent documents. And people who buy the Third Eye book, they see the FBI documentations in there validating the theft. So there's nothing you can do about the truth, but suck it up.
No, but, I'm not trying to be hostile with you. Okay, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get you to give the people who are listening and people who are not only interested in your particular circumstance, but there are all kinds of creatives who listen to this show. A lot of them are in film, a lot of them are in novels, a lot of them do comic books and things like that. And to see the trials and tribulations of what IP theft, intellectual property theft, can do to them, especially if they have you had some great ideas. You had all of the things that we see in those movies are great ideas that got translated from one medium to another. And being able
you can't steal somebody's thoughts. An idea is nothing but a thought. You need to start using the correct terminology. And people need to know that comes from the machine world, the corporation. You can't steal thoughts. You can steal a script. You can steal a book. You can steal a short story. You can steal a script treatment, but you can't steal anybody's thoughts.
I beg to differ. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. No, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. You're absolutely wrong. No, because you know what? You've been talking over me. Let me just explain why these people want to listen to the show. You would
let me explain it to these people.
Oh, please do then. Go right ahead.
Thank you. There is what you call a protective expression in every writer's work. It is what you hear when you hear Michael Jackson sing. That is his style, his trademark. Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra. When you look at a Picasso or a Rembrandt, there is this protective expression that, when you look at Spielberg, the director, Lucas's work, Bruckheimer's work, everybody has their own protective expression that shows that you are the author of something. Generalizations that he's talking about, everybody have boy meet girl. But the protective expression is what you win on. And if everybody goes to my website called MatrixTerminator.com and look at the video, the 1 minute and 45-second video, it teaches all film students and future film students and people who are in lawsuits right now or someone has stolen their property, how you can redeem your property back. Because you need to learn and see exactly what a protective expression is. And this is what the jury and the judges look at when they said, all you have to do is enter the movie. This protective expression matches up with your book, your script, your work. And the thieves will not touch it, but they will put it in the movie. They won't put it in the written work, but they will put it in the movies. And this is what you need to learn. This can win any case. This is how I won when I entered the 6 movies in and the 1 minute and 45-second DVD video of the protective expression. That's how I got the rulings from the 2 federal judges and from the FBI and the Department of Justice that I am the owner, the author, the creator, and the writer of The Matrix and Terminator. Don't let anybody mislead you. My case is one of the most phenomenal cases to protect your trademarks and copyrights. Go to my website, MatrixTerminator.com, look under the contact information, get my email address, SophiaStewart10@yahoo.com, and I will be glad to send you all these documents and paperwork to help everybody, because I am sick and tired of the studios stealing the writer's work. And no studios can produce anything or create anything. Don't get caught up in that. Whenever the writers go on strike, they give you Godzilla, the Smurfs, the Three Stooges. Come on. So don't let anybody tell you that the writer is not important. The writer is the most important, period. Because without the writer, the studios and producers have nothing. Nada. Not a damn thing. Don't be fools.
Well, let me go back to intellectual property, please. What I was going to illustrate was the fact that when you have an idea and then you set it to paper, you have your own responsibility to protect your own work.
It's how you express that idea is what's important that makes you you from everybody else. It's what makes you Aretha Franklin or Michael Jackson. So when somebody hears them sing in respect, or they hear somebody singing The Man in the Mirror, they know it's not Michael Jackson. They know it's not Aretha Franklin. Respect. Because they're imitating you.
I get that.
This is what I'm trying to teach.
I get that, and I'm pretty sure that at least the audience will get that. But
I think everybody knows this. Not everybody knows this. The way you're talking in general, you're talking in generalization, and I'm talking specifics because I have a legal background. And what's important is knowing what the legal background, knowing the law is going to win you the case. Generalization doesn't win you anything. Knowing the law and applying the law and understanding how you can win is what helps you to protect your work and win.
But correct me if I'm wrong, just talking about your case doesn't cover all of the circumstances that people can run into when they find that their intellectual property has been appropriated. Not everybody's going to... Excuse me?
I beg to differ.
You think your case represents... No. You think your case represents every other intellectual property theft case out there?
No, listen to what I'm saying. When I say I beg the difference, my case involved RICO. That usually most cases don't involve RICO. But RICO means theft. That's what RICO means. Racketeering, influence, corrupt organization. It's what puts the mafia in jail. That RICO law was created for them. It's when people appropriate your intellectual property and start selling it at an escalating price of hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. You have to come in and bring in the RICO law to get them. And this is what was on my case. And not only that, most cases or theft cases, sometimes people have contracts, like Tess, she had a contract, and like some people with Avatar, they had a contract. But it doesn't matter whether it's a contract, like with Buckwald's case was a contract. But most of the cases don't involve contracts. They involve straight theft.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, Art Buchwald won a case against the various people surrounding the movie Coming to America, which was a Eddie Murphy vehicle. So you can look that up if you want to look that up. All right, so if we can get a little bit past this, since you've won this, I mean, you have a book out, Matrix 4. When did you actually write that?
I wrote Matrix 4 in 2000. I never stopped writing my work. Writers never stop writing. They continue their work. Matrix 4 is the fourth installment of The Matrix. It actually comes right behind Matrix 1, and I made 2 and 3 a bad dream, and the saga continues. The Matrix continues, the Terminator. But in this fourth installment, I actually explain what the Matrix is, who the Indigo and Crystal kids are with the Oracle, the little boy bending the spoon that you didn't know about. a lot of facts that you never knew about because Andy and Larry Wachowski, who lied to you, never did any interviews to explain anything of the Matrix. And James Cameron walked away from it and didn't want to have anything to do with it because he never wrote it. He couldn't write. He's a director, but he couldn't write. He couldn't even direct until Roger Corman taught him how to direct. He couldn't write because he had William Wisher to adapt my work and Randall Frank, two of his boyhood friends. And how do I know all this information? Because the FBI gave me this information in paperwork. The Department of Justice, the judges. This is why it's very important that you get these documents and start reading up on these documents, because these documents help you to protect your work. Because copyrights and trademarks is like a pie. It's worth millions and billions of dollars. This is why they steal from you. It's not they're just stealing one derivative, because making your book or your script or your short story into a movie is a derivative. But then they can take it and make it into a television series, another derivative. A comic book, another derivative. Slots in gaming, which is other derivative. A comic book, you know what I'm saying? It can go on and on and on. A video game, which is another derivative. This is why the studios want to steal your intellectual property. They're greedy because they can pay. But they don't want to pay when they can own the whole pie, because this whole pie is going to make them millions and billions of dollars off of you, and you're going to be nothing but a slave. So this is why it's important to get this paperwork and learn what's going on. So when you go to lawyers, these lawyers don't sell you out, because studios buy lawyers to sell you out or not take your case. But those of you who are studying law out there, or paralegals, or know intellectual property and trademark property, these are some of the tools that you need to learn to protect your property.
And as I said earlier, it's cheaper to pay for good representation at the beginning than it is having to chase after people who have already stolen your work.
Yeah, but they cannot pay for the good representation. You know how much it costs to get a copyright lawyer now? It's $25,000. That is not no little small amount of money for the regular people to pay. $25,000. You know what I paid those 4 attorneys? I paid $50,000, dude. The first court case, $50,000.
Oh yeah, it's expensive.
That's not. Well, you just told these people it's always good to get some little cheap representation. There are no little cheap representation.
I didn't say cheap. Don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say cheap. I said it's. No, you have to protect. No, but the fact of the matter is you have to protect yourself. I mean, people, a lot of creatives, whether it's art, comic books, movies, anything, they don't realize that they're, like you said, you know, what you've illustrated, that there's a whole world out there that is arrayed against them, that would love to steal something unique, that would love to steal something that makes them millions, maybe even, if they're lucky, billions of dollars, okay? And so if somebody has a great idea and it's something that's brand new and they've worked very, very hard on it, it behooves them to protect their investment. It behooves them to protect their intellectual property. Now, you're right. Legal work is expensive. And most people, if they're lucky, if they can get good, let's say they get a publisher, you know, then the publisher handles a lot of that for them. But they still have to be vigilant. It's still your intellectual property. And to avoid going through what you went through, yeah, for damn sure, people should pay attention to what goes on.
No one will avoid going through what I went through. Somebody right now can go out there and steal your car. Theft is theft. Whether they steal your coat, your shoes, you've already dealt with theft. No one can avoid theft. Somebody stole your girlfriend from you, your house, your money. Come on. No one can avoid that. It just happened to certain people because certain people are examples to help others that is going to come later that this may happen to. That's all that means, not like it's a great detriment to me. I'm very glad that God used me as an example because I'm very strong. And I had the right tools to defeat them and a right good example for others to follow so they can defeat them. So sometimes things are meant for the good. God created a person to walk in these shoes so they can help others, millions, multitudes. If people wanted to know why did this great thing happen, it happened so I can help others, which to me is great because I just told you I was studying to be a lawyer or a doctor so I could help people. I wanted to provide service. And then look at this. God changed my whole course and made me a writer and a great theft upon me that made billions of dollars for me, but put me in a position to beat these people so others can follow suit and know how to get them. So I think that's a great honor from God. I really do. And I appreciate that he chose me because if anybody can beat the machines and wrote about it, it would be me.
Okay, fair enough. So you said that let's put the movies aside, but I mean, for people who want to know factually, Matrix 4, which people can look up and it's available on Amazon. Matrix 4 picks up after the kind of the framework of the story of the original Matrix, right?
That's right. Matrix 4 continues the Matrix. So anybody who are still wanting to see more Matrix and more Terminator, they would get Matrix 4 book.
Okay, and someone has a question here in the chat room about. She has a question about how is religion represented in your work at all, and if so, how?
Because metaphorically, I wrote the second coming of Christ, the evolutions of consciousness, man versus the machine. In other words, Jesus was the only one called the One. So J.C., John Connors, Jesus Christ, grows up to be Neo and the Matrix. The Matrix and Terminator is past, present, and future time travel. Matrix is a Latin word for the womb. Matrix is mentioned in the King James Bible 5 times. Exodus 34th chapter, 19th verse, God said, he who opens up the matrix, the womb, the children born of the womb, born with souls, and they're my children because man would start creating his own children, mankind or a kind of man, but they were clones with microchips. They were test tube babies, petri dish, but they were soulless, born without souls, machines.
Okay, and can you describe the story, just the framework of the story? Don't give away the ending or anything like that. But when you get into the Matrix 4, which again is available on Amazon, here I'll put the link up for people in the chat room.
Well, no, it's available on my website. They can get it from me, matrixterminator.com. Get it from me and get a 2-hour consultation. Speak with me directly. Get the book from my website, matrixterminator.com. It's one word,
okay.
matrixterminator.com.
I'm putting that up in the chat room right now, okay? All right, so when people get that, the continuation of the story, what's the framework of the story, if you can give us a general overview?
The framework is the continuations of the Matrix, the meaning that Neo and Trinity... Well, Neo and Trinity never died.
Oh, okay.
That's what, because nobody kills out the goose that lays the golden egg. You don't go around and kill the goose or hang it, and it's laying golden eggs and shut it down. The writer, the creator, continues their work.
Right.
And when you get the Matrix 4, you're getting more Neo, more Trinity, more Morpheus. You're getting more of it. But this time, it is the explanation. What is the Matrix? What happens with the new machines? The new machines that come to take the place of the old agent program, and how Neo cracks the code to defeat the machines. Because the story, when you look at the Terminator's end-time revelation, the Terminator comes from the machine planet with all the machines, and he time traveled from the future to the past to kill Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor
right.
is Neo's mother. Sarah Connor is Neo's mother. And so the baby is part of this prophecy. There's going to be a baby born that's going to take out the machines in the future who has enslaved mankind. So the machine, the Terminator, is trying to kill Sarah Connor so the baby won't be born. And when the baby is born and he's a teenager, he's trying to kill the teenager and on to the man-child, and he's hidden out in the Matrix. And at the age of 30 years of age, the rebellion or the revolution starts with the machines. The rebels come and awaken Neo to his purpose. Neo is asleep consciously with his evolution. He has to go through the pod and be reborn through the waters, right. Blood, water, spirit, and the corruption of his human side dies and his spiritual side is born, and he comes in, he's flying, but he's not Superman. He's levitating, but he's not Superman. He has descended into his fourth-dimensional light body, the body that supersedes dimensions, the body that supersedes the void. This gives you more of the evolutions of consciousness. This gives you more of the meat and potatoes that you were left hanging. 2 and 3,
right.
I had to make it into a bad dream because I wrote the evolutions of consciousness, a dream within a dream within a dream, like the wheel within a wheel with Ezekiel.
Okay,
are you asleep now, or are you awake?
No. Actually, see, that's the thing. People like, once people get into a story and they like the characters and they get invested in how the characters are, this is why good series, take off. So for those people, I think it's important, at least from a marketing standpoint, to get, that people who would read The Matrix as a book would know that what you did in terms of the dream sequence, so that you could have the venerable characters live on. And so, having said that, is Matrix 4 anywhere near the end of the series for you, or do you have more story to give?
There's more. I'm going to continue this always. Matrix 5.
Very cool. No,
Matrix
but see,
5.
that's what people want.
Yes, I'm continuing my work.
All right. So, if you were to be able to talk about the story arc of the Matrix, well, actually, it's starting from the Terminator, going to the Matrix, and then continuing on, would you, how much of a story arc do you have? Do you have several volumes ahead? I know you said you're going to continue, but is this something that you can really dig your teeth into and keep writing continuously?
I have so much. I've never stopped writing. Never stopped writing. Just like Picasso never stopped painting until he died and left the earth. Just like Sammy Davis Jr. never stopped singing until he left. Same way Michael Jackson never stopped singing. Did you ask Michael, do you have any more songs in you? Sammy, do you have any more songs in you? Are you still going to keep singing? Yes. We're going to keep our work going until we leave the earth. That's what all creators do. You keep getting wonderful work until that particular creator leaves.
Right. And so if, let's just say that Hollywood decides to continue on with these franchises, are you why do you think Hollywood shut it down and killed out Neo and Trinity? If they were going to continue with these franchises, they wouldn't have killed out Neo and Trinity. And if they were going to continue with the Terminator, hold one moment, you wouldn't be doing a remake of the first Terminator. You would do Terminator 5. But, of course, I've already done Terminator 5. But you can't do Terminator 5 if you don't know where the hell Terminator's going. You don't know absolutely nothing about it. All you can do is a rehash, a remake. And that's all Terminator
Genesis is. They rehash or remake, which they can't even release because of the judge's ruling. Now they're stuck in limbo, spent a lot of money, and can't release anything.
And they can't.
They're not gonna. They were not trying to continue anything. You heard what James Cameron said. He's not going to do any more Terminators. He's through. He's done. You don't have anything to do with that. With his word to Marley Savers. Anybody don't believe it? Go on YouTube and look at the 60 Minutes interview with Marley Safer and James Cameron. He said, "I've moved on. I'm done with that. Throw." Meaning he can't write. He didn't create it. Lucas didn't do that with Star Wars, sweetie. Lucas continued Star Wars until he sold it to Disney.
Well, that was the point of my question. If you would have let me finish the question. My question was, with you having, the judgment that this is your intellectual property, that you have ownership of this, it would seem to me that if anybody wanted to do something like that, they would have to go through you first, correct?
Of course they would have to go through me first, because did you see me file lawsuits on people? I file lawsuits, and I win. So I think a lot of people would think twice about messing with me. I won pro se. And I would have won the first case if I had known that all four of them were going to sabotage me. You would never think. You might think one or two, or you would never think all four. But they sent four. And how do I know this? Because the attorney told me and the FBI. And one of others sent them in to sabotage the case. They're straight thieves. They don't own anything. Well, pull up the copyright and look at the assignments. Pull up James Cameron's copyright, look at the assignments. Better yet, it's in the court docs, and I'll send it to you so you can read it. Assignments. James Cameron doesn't claim ownership. Neither does Gail Ann Hurd. Neither does the Wachowski brothers. Neither does Warner Brothers.
Well, actually, it's the Wachowski. Go ahead.
They're lying and saying they're the directors. Just like you see a Jerry Bruckheimer film. Just like you see a Ridley Scott film. The directors always get credit for the vision. No writers. I don't care who you are, John Grisham or Stephen King. None of them have a vision on the screen. It is the director adapting their work to the screen and calling it their vision.
Well, in order to forestall problems like that, a lot of directors are writing their own scripts so that they don't, so I would guess partly because they want to see their own visions be brought to the screen, but also partly so that they don't run afoul of this kind of thing. I mean, this has got.
I'm sorry to bust your bubble, but the studios have.
May I finish? Would you allow me to finish a sentence?
Yeah,
please?
Go ahead and finish
All right.
it. Hey, don't get excited. Go ahead and finish.
We're trying to have a conversation, and I really try to make that happen. But here's the deal: we're talking about billions of dollars. Okay, and when you talk about billions of dollars, you're talking about big corporate interests. And when you talk about movies, you talk about media. I would guess that a good amount of the fact that people don't know as much about your case as they should, and that I would probably even suggest that information about your case would be suppressed, because it doesn't fit a media company's narrative to know that what you went through, you actually won your case. So to answer the critics who say, well, I don't know about this, I didn't read about this, I didn't hear about this, we have to keep in mind that it's in a media it's in all the media companies' interests not to disclose or to try to suppress the kinds of things that you went through and the wins that you had against the studio, correct?
That's part of it. The other part is that the studios own a lot of the media. They went under violations under the FCC, and people need to know this. The FCC was only supposed to allow the media to own just a little bit of the media because it influenced what you buy, how you think, and what you do, how you spend your money. So now this is what the Matrix is about. With them owning all this media, they can tell you any kind of lie that they want to, and a lot of people out there already know this. That's why they go to the Internet and YouTube and other places. They know that the media is owned by the studios and corporations, and they are unreliable.
Well,
You're not getting the truth. You're not getting the truth.
Once all the news divisions got rolled in under the entertainment divisions of all these media companies, we don't get news very often here in the United States of America. And again, in a case where media comes off bad and has been caught doing their bad behavior, this is probably something that not only needs to be more widely disseminated, but the facts have to get out there for people to understand exactly what the hell went on. And I think your story is compelling from that perspective because it's excuse me for using the analogy, but this is the perfect David and Goliath tale. You know, the fact that you filed pro se and you persisted and you prevailed.
Yeah, no, I was prepared to beat them. To tell you the truth, I was prepared. That's why you don't see people letting people know that I'm a paralegal. They try to make it seem like I'm some black woman that never had no credentials, no background, never went to school, just accidentally dropped out of just dropped out of the sky in my lap or something into their lap. And this is all media hype and bullshit. And Scientology brainwashing and ignorance that they use. And this kind of helps with people who don't have legal backgrounds and people who don't have knowledge of the industry or how things are ran in corporate, with the copyrights and trademark. They try to prey on people's ignorance. And ignorance is not a bad word. It's just simply, look at the word ignore is in it. Ignorance has the word ignore. You're ignoring facts you should know. The fact is that you should know that studios steal because they're greedy, not because they're needy. Poor people steal because they have a need to steal, but rich people steal because they're greedy. They want to own the whole thing, and they don't want you to have anything. It's just sort of like a control thing, like in the Matrix. As long as they can control you and control what you're on, they can enslave you. That's all it's about, slavery. So,
well, no, you're right, and the laws in this country, especially in the last, since about 1980, have all been written to be corporate friendly at the expense of individuals. So again, the fact that you can pull out a win on this is remarkable, and it's laudable, and it's something that people should hear about. Let me ask you this. Do you have other stories? Well, no, let me ask you this one. What if a video came to you and said, hey, we want to do Matrix 4? If you were adequately compensated, would you allow that to be done?
With who would come and say what to me?
If a movie studio came to you and said that they wanted to do Matrix 4 as a film.
Could I speak now? Or could I answer now? May I?
Don't start with me. Go ahead. Say what you want to say.
A studio have come to me, several. In fact, Universal Studios, I had to meet with them in 2011 for Matrix 4. They were, in fact, the late Rick Finkelstein was interested in Matrix 4 and 5. And so I had another meeting. Wait, let me finish. I had another meeting with Relativity Media, Ryan Kavanaugh. They were interested. That's a production company, and they're very phenomenal. And I love their work. And they wanted to do Matrix 4, but of course Warner Brothers sabotaged them. and sabotaged Universal Studios. And they
really?
had these. That's right. That's right. Hey, the hell did.
Well, how did they do that?
Well, I'm not going to go into on the air about what they did.
Oh, okay. No. Then that's fine. That's fine.
But they did sabotage them to keep them from getting it.
Okay.
Because Relativity Media, when they came and asked for it, they had already put all their legal departments to work, and they knew that Warner Brothers didn't own it.
Okay.
And so did Universal Studios, because every studio has its own legal department. You know.
Right. So, well, just between you and me, forget everybody else who's listening. Do you think that a deal can be done to your satisfaction?
Yes, of course a deal can be done. I've been approached by other people too, the Chinese people, the Koreans, and the Russians. So yes, the deal can be done. It's just a matter of choosing the right people to make sure that it stays in the form that it was first created in. That's very important, that it never deviates.
And since you have so much writing still left in you, it might behoove somebody to make a long-term deal if they wanted to continue the franchise.
I've spoken to Sony, the legal department at Sony,
right,
and quite a lot of people. In fact, I'm going to tell you something that would really, really blow you guys' mind. The Chinese, they are interested. If they make a Chinese Matrix, it would be really phenomenal because, for one thing, they have 22 slots, and they love the big budget movies and science fiction. I mean, I got the Japanese, Koreans, and the Chinese. They love Matrix.
Right.
So they would love to make a Chinese Matrix and release it over there in China. Now, I'm talking to some Chinese people about this right now, and it might not be a bad idea. You know what I'm saying? Because they got 1 billion. They got 1 billion people over there. They don't really need America.
Absolutely. And you know what? There would be a certain kind of poetic justice if something like that occurred, and American studios lost out.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking about that because, the martial arts that was introduced in the Matrix comes from me. It didn't come from any Wachowskis watching a whole bunch of kung fu movies. Me and my friends, growing up in New York, used to sneak to Times Square to see the movies. My girlfriend, she's half Japanese and half black. And
so am I.
Would go with, yes, I know. And so I think you understand a lot of what you see in the Matrix.
Yeah, we used to have afternoons where they would have, 6 hours worth of kung fu movies, and you pay your, back then probably it was about $1 or so to get in, and man, you could just watch back to back movies, and that's something that was pretty prevalent here on the south side of Chicago. So there's an affinity for those kind of movies with the black folks I grew up with, and that's not to take anything away from the Asian part of me or anything, but it was certainly something that a lot of my contemporaries and I did because you could get in, be there all damn day for the price of one ticket. So if you go ahead and you decide to do this, what do you think the timing of, if you have any idea, the timing of the kinds of books that you would be putting out? So you've got Matrix 4 out. When do you think that you might be liable to pop out like the 5th installment, or Matrix 5? I don't want to call it the 5th installment. Let's just call it Matrix 5 or whatever.
I've written 3 books already. There's another book that I'm going to be putting out soon. I'm not going to release the title on it, but it's the 3rd book. I've already written it. It's ready to go, and I'll be publishing it pretty soon. I just keep it under wraps until it comes out on the market. I think the best thing to do is surprise people. They like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't let people know what my legal briefs or what I'm going to do on anything. I think the most important thing is not just talking about something, but showing people doing it and putting it out. That's more important to me is action, not so much talking. I'm not a talker. I'm a doer. Yeah.
And do you have other creative universes that you have written or that you're writing, or are you pretty much working in this one?
I've written a lot of stuff. Some of the movies I've written that have not been released is Soulless, When the Gods Walk the Earth, The Beast Among Us, The Invisible Man, The Glitter Heist, just to name a few. And some people out there that have bought my Third Eye book are very familiar with some of the titles they just named. Because there's a lot of people who have bought my book, the Third Eye book and the Matrix 4 book. Lots of fans out there. So they know what I'm talking about. Right. I've been around for a long time and selling books and been out there since '05. And I've been in mainstream media, the Wall Street Journal, Essence, Vibe, Black Enterprise, MTV, BET, Rolling Stone, LA Times, Time Magazine, Independent Film Magazine. I can go on and on and on. So I've been out there for a while. ABC broke my story, and I went on television twice with them, and Hot 97, WBLS, and among others, Gary Bird, Michael Bazin, just a lot of shows, Coast to Coast, John B. Wells, Coast to Coast with Art Bell, Kerry Kennedy, Camelot. I mean, a lot of the fans out there have followed me. There's over 1,000, I repeat, over 1,000 of my interviews posted on YouTube alone, where there are still millions and thousands of people listening every day to my interviews. Yeah.
And then here you visit Genesis Science Fiction Radio, which I think is probably one of the better of all of those that you mentioned, but quiet as it's kept. Okay, so you're not going to disclose, and I don't blame you for not discussing ideas and stuff like that, but the fact of the matter is you are a content creator. You're definitely a creator. You've got all kinds of ideas. You have a lot of stuff in the hopper, and this is something that it sounds like is going to be probably, would you consider this your primary interest in going forward in life, being a content creator, being a writer?
No, I'm greater than that. I'm a producer. I'm also a paralegal and a screenwriter and author, poet. I mean, I do a lot of things. A CEO, I run a corporation, and hey, I'm more than that. Whatever I feel like doing, I will do. I have multiple gifts. You know, I was doing taxes when I was 11 years old and getting paid just like with H&R Block. I was doing H&R Block before they were even invented. So, no, I'm going to be doing lots of greater things, lots of things. And I just want to give people more of what they want. They want more of the Terminator. They want more of the Matrix. And they love my work. I got over 223 million fans following me globally around the world. I've won numerous awards, and you can find all this out when you go to my website, matrixterminator.com. I just want to make people happy and give them service and help them to protect themselves. I love people because if I didn't love the people, I could have taken the $5 or $7 million and no one would have ever heard of me, and I would have been gagged, and if I spoke about it, they would have taken the money from me, Warner Brothers. So, no, I didn't want that. I didn't want to take the money. I wanted them to start stealing so we can have great diversity in movies. When the studios were buying the people's stories and scripts and work and books, we had the most phenomenal movies in the world. Then when the studios started stealing, they have actually seated themselves out of business now. Now their theaters are empty because they steal and they can't continue.
Well, and they also screwed up when they went to digitizing all this content. Because once you digitize content, then it is infinitely transportable and stealable, as, you know, to coin a word. And the movie industry has not come to grips with the fact that technology has moved past it. The music industry kind of had the same problem up until a little while ago, and then they went all in with iTunes and figured, oh, well, if we can't beat it, we have to join it. I see that the film industry is going to have to do something on two different levels. The first level is, the theft that you talk about. If it's that prevalent, and it is, and if it's that noticeable, and it has been, then they're going to have to change their business model. I don't know what that's going to be, and I know for damn sure they don't, because they haven't done anything to change their business model in so long. I think the direct transmission, the direct viewing of film at home, either legally through Netflix or sometimes when, what was it? They released The Interview, the movie about killing Kim Jong, whichever one. The direct delivery of content is something that the movie industry is going to have to face. Otherwise, they're going to have continued losses. So, but having said that, the bottom line for the movie industry is still content. Content is king. So they're going to need stories. They're going to need people who come up with ideas. And I think that that's obviously an opportunity for writers to get their crap in order and start producing good work and, as you found, making sure that they protect themselves.
Yeah, that's why my third court case is so important to people. You need to protect your royalties when they steal your trademark work, they're stealing
right.
your royalties. When they steal your movies or your book or your script or your short story or whatever, a comic book, they've stolen your profits minus their investment. They've stolen your profits. All the profits are due to you. So it's very, very important that people learn to stand up for themselves and not say, well, I don't have $50,000, I don't have $25,000. If we all stand up as a collective whole and say, no, we're not going to take this anymore. We supported you, studios. We made you rich. You steal from us, we're not going to buy a ticket. You can hurt them in so many ways. You can make the media report the news. Make them report. Because if they don't report the news, then you won't subscribe to them. You won't support them either. This is what the late Martin Luther King was doing. He was saying that, that we can't ride on the front of the bus and boycott the bus. If they won't buy our property and they continue to steal our intellectual property, we won't support, we won't pay for a seat. We won't pay for a ticket.
Well, you know what? It actually goes a little bit.
Yeah, we won't support them.
Right, and it goes a little bit deeper than that, okay? Here's the deal. We have an ignorant populace in the United States of America, and part of it is explainable by the bell-shaped curve of IQ distribution that shows about just a hair under half of us are below normal in IQ. Right? People are willfully stupid in this country, and they vote for people who don't have their best interests at heart. The fact that you had to go through the mountain of crap that you did to get what you did, to reassert your own ownership of your own property, shows just how stacked the deck is toward business. And that's the well,
lie.
Wait a minute. Wait. Don't interrupt me. Okay? Let me finish what I was going to say. Let me finish what I was going to say.
Go ahead and finish, because you sound like a very unhappy person.
Well, no, I'm a very happy person. I just like to be treated well.
Let me tell you something.
But here's the deal.
People are listening to you. They are listening to you.
Absolutely. You should see the comments they're making. You should see the comments.
It doesn't matter.
Can I finish what I was going to say? May I finish what I was going to say, please? Here's the deal. We have a very business-friendly environment, okay? The copyright laws are on the side of the bigger media companies now. The court system is the deck is stacked against the little person. And the fact that the thing that you brought up that was very important is that, it does cost a lot to retain an intellectual property lawyer. It does cost a lot to protect yourself, and it costs even more to go after people who have stolen your stuff. And so part of the problem is not just not supporting these media companies, but part of the problem is making sure that the people we have who do our legislation are not so in the pockets of business that we have no say and we have no chance. I think that's an important aspect of what you went through, the fact that business has everything front-loaded to their side, and individuals really don't have the recourse unless they're very, very wealthy. And fortunately for you, you were able to file pro se. You were able to take care of your own case. And I'm afraid there's just far too many people who cannot. So do you have advice for people, who are writing their books, who are doing their screenplays? Do you have some good advice to give them, that may not be so expensive in the service of protecting their intellectual property, protecting their work?
All I'm going to say is what you said now is not totally true. There are lobbyist people that are paying politicians and everybody, but you don't know what I went through. You just have an idea of what I went through, but you have no idea what I went through. The only person that have an idea of what I've gone through is me. And I hear this all the time, and a lot of interviews, people all got these ideas of what they think happens when you get into a lawsuit with a major corporation. But it's not what you think. It's a program. It's nothing but a program. Anybody can beat them. Look at the movie Flash of Genius. A school teacher beat them. There are lots of people go in and win pro se cases. Some of them go out and study law and win the pro se cases. They don't talk about this because they don't want you to be encouraged. They want to hear what you just got through saying so people won't go out and challenge them. So that's why Aaron Brockovich's story was so phenomenal, because the little man can win against them. That's what God had to say about David and Goliath, to show you that you don't have to have money and power to win. You can have faith. You can believe in God. And once you have that faith and you believe in God, God set up perimeters. He gives you all the stuff. There's a lot of rich people who have lost against them. Money doesn't guarantee you a win. Money doesn't guarantee you anything. I'm telling the truth. They hide all of this. They don't even let you know because they don't want anybody to be encouraged to go up against them. Because there's one thing that you really need to know, everybody. I don't care who you are, how much money you got, how much lobbies you pay, what politicians you pay. You can't beat the truth. You can never beat the truth. And if you think you can, you're self-deceiving yourself. You're in denial. That's how I won. Because they couldn't beat the truth. I didn't need any money to beat them. All I needed was my faith in God, and God provided everything else for me to win. That's all the little man needs to know. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for your principles. Everything will be provided for you. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do this, you can't do that because of this and that. Look at all the odds against you, and you can overcome each one day at a time, but you can beat all of those odds. And the giants, corporations, machines know this. Greater what's inside of us than what's outside of us, which is them. They're outside of you. But God put something inside of you, which is truth, that is greater. And you can win. So let no one tell you cannot win against them, that they kill people, quote unquote. They got billions of dollars. They pay off lobbyists. They pay off judges. So what? They did all of this and cheated and still lost. Now, what does that tell you? That they can't beat the truth, they can't beat God. That's all I have to say.
I understand what you're saying, but you have to admit that the media provides a number of examples all the time of instances where the little guy does lose. And I think that part of it is exactly what you said. It's their marketing that concept so that people don't fight. All right? And so to that, I guess I have to say that most people, if they run into a circumstance like you ran into, or they run into a circumstance where they're up against a Goliath, that they're just going to have to persevere. And you're right. A lot of people do win, but a lot of people don't. And so the thing that's important about your case is getting out the information, the fact that you managed to, because of what you managed to do, it should encourage other people who have also suffered the same kind of deprivation that you have. So I think it's a great example. Other than, is there any other place where people can gather and look? I know you've got, for people who are listening, you have, go to Ms. Stewart's site is matrixterminator.com, and you can check out her work there. And then do you have any other social media presences, Sophia?
I'm on all the social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of them, Instagram. I mean, a lot of people are already familiar with me. A lot of people are already emailing me during your show, asking for paperwork, asking for protection. This really is good. This is really good because you don't need to wait until you get hit by one of the corporations or the machines or studios. You want to be prepared and help your friends, because a lot of people came to my side immediately because they had all experienced, including celebrities, and producers. Lots of people had already experienced theft. They don't talk about it. They're embarrassed about it. Some of them feel hopeless. Some feel helpless. Some people got cancer and got sick. Just a multitude of things happen. I just thank God that I was strong enough to battle them, because God always needs a champ, and I'm glad He chose me. I can handle them, and I'm not afraid of them.
No, I think this interview proves that. You're absolutely a force to be reckoned with, but not everybody has not only your type of personality, but not everybody has your knowledge either. And so that's also a testament to, the kinds of things that you found important in your life to study. And you said I know you filed pro se. Are you a paralegal? Do you have, what kind of, how would you characterize your law background?
My legal background is very extensive. I've done RICO. I've done copyrights, trademarks, business, corporative, contractual law, business law. I think I'm well gifted in all of them, except for maybe family law. But if I wanted to study up on it, I can master it also. But I pretty much mastered all the rest of them. I did my own copyrights. I did my own trademarks. I did my own liens. I filed all three of my own court cases, even though they sent the lawyers to sabotage me in the first one because they couldn't beat my RICO that I wrote. And I got Judge Terry J. Hatter to court order RICO served on them. I was the late Johnny Cochran's last case that he called for. He got sick and died. But he had called for my case in 2003, and he told me Terry J. Hatter, the black judge, would bend over backwards to make sure I got justice. That was the chief judge. And they took the defendants took the judge off the case by hiring his son, who's an attorney, and the judge had to recuse himself because that's a conflict of interest. So it's a lot of dirtiness in there. Just a lot of excuse my language, shit. But if you can overcome anything, God has created such great presence in us. We can overcome anything. It's just, what do you want? And how far are you willing to go to get what you want?
Mhm.
These are the questions that you need to ask yourself. You know, what is your principles? Are you standing up for yourself? Will you stand up for yourself? Will you help others to protect themselves? Because knowing that if you don't protect your neighbors and stand up, that they're going to come after you one day. What are you willing to do? That's a very, very important question that a lot of people need to ask themselves. I was willing to put myself out there. That's right, because I stood for a lot of people. I didn't have to go through anything or anything you think I went through or anything you imagine me to go through. I did it because I wanted to protect trademarks and copyrights. I wanted to protect intellectual property and let people know that they just can't come in and take anybody's work. They can't do that to us. The late John Kennedy said that the power was with the people, that the people had the power to change any and everything. That you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all of the time. Yeah, a few people will get caught up in some lies, but there are so many people that are looking for the truth and will fight for it. That's why we live in America. That's why America is the greatest country in the world, so diverse, because there are people that love America and willing to stand up and fight for truth, and I'm proud to be called an American citizen. Very proud of it. We're fighters.
Well, we are. And the other thing that your case illustrates is, especially for creatives, is the fact that, you know, I've talked about the 80-20 rule, where 80% of what you do as a creative is in the service of doing business, and then, you know, 20% about, you know, obviously it varies. 20% is the actual creative part, but protecting yourself, filing, you know, doing your copyrights, all of the things that you have to do as a creative are just as important as the story you write. Have you talked to other people who have, you know, had similar experiences to yours, who gave up, and what made them give up? If you know of anybody like that.
Well, I know of a lot of people, a lot of celebrities who didn't even want to press they didn't want to press anything because they were scared of being blackballed, and
right.
They were just afraid of losing what little bit they got. And then some people were just overwhelmed. Some of them was already sick with cancer, and some of them was sick with other illnesses, and they just were not strong enough to do it. I mean, it was thousands of people who reached out to me and told me they were stolen from around the globe. It was the most phenomenal thing in the world. What needs to be remembered here and talked about is all the brave people that were stolen from. They came behind me, and lots of the industry people and people in the industry, they hated these people, Warner Brothers and these corporations. A lot of the help came from these very people that was from the inside, including their legal departments, their own lawyers and their own handlers and their own people turned against them, because people of all races, they don't want theft of any kind. They know a thief. If a thief will steal from one person or that person, they'll steal from anybody. And I just want to say, you guys are the heroes. You guys that stand up every day and fight for justice, and even if you do it in secrecy, even if you do it quietly, even if you go out and you give your money and your time and whatever you do to bring forth the truth and justice, you guys are the heroes out there. And I want to thank each and every one of you who supported me, because without you guys, I couldn't have not done all of these great things. I promise before God, you guys are the heroes. And it needs to be recognized and talked about. There was one guy, a pastor, he said he had a family member working over there in Warner Brothers legal department, and he said he told me about this. He said he went in there and he asked them, have y'all heard of the story about Sophia Stewart? And a lot of them said yes. And then one particular lawyer told the pastor, he says, you know what? I'm betting on her to win. I'm betting on her to win. And he was shocked. The pastor, he was totally shocked. It just blew his mind. He had never seen anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, because it's all about good and evil. It's not about our race. It's not about our gender. It's not about our color. It's not about our classes of social economics. It's all about right and wrong. It's all about people lying and stealing. That's no good. That's no good for our country. That's no good for our business. That's no good for our kids to be brought up in anything like that, deception and lies. And any injustice of any kind, you need to step up to the plate and do your part. It doesn't matter if you put in $1. It doesn't matter if you fill in some paperwork or you wrote a letter to the congressman or the president. You did your part. Every little bit counts. Every little bit makes a greatness. There's a lot of people who say, what can I do? You can do a lot. One little thing means a lot.
Yeah, name some of the things. Name some of the things that the average person can do to help change this paradigm.
They can write to the media and tell the media to stop favoring the corporations and the machines, to report the truth. Give us the truth, or we're not going to support you. Boycott anybody that don't support the agendas of truth. They need to be boycotted. We don't need organizations of people who want to support truth. Don't pay your money out on stuff like that. This is why the corporations are scared of the people. They know that once they're found out to be liars and thieves, the good people, which is a multitude, is not going to support that. This is why they pay the media to hide stuff from you guys. They put people on me to try to discredit me or make me look bad because they know that you're not going to support them. And if you don't support them with your money, your dollar, and your speaking or spreading of words, they're going to collapse, and they need to collapse.
So,
I'm serious.
yeah, no, I get that. So, obviously, we have the power of the boycott, even though we don't necessarily get our message across in mass media as easily as other people do. But you're right. Following the money is always a good way of doing things, and if you can bring somebody's finances down, they will either die or they will change their behavior.
Yes.
In the case of, let's take a studio. In the case of Warner Brothers, I wonder just how long, how much effort, how much of a boycott it would take to change their financial paradigm. Do you have any insider information about whether or not what you went through and your win has done for that studio?
Let me tell you why they have put so much discredited information on the internet. When I won, as soon as I won, my Facebook went viral. Facebook has 1.4 billion people now.
Right.
And word of mouth is the greatest medium, not the television, not the newspapers, not the magazines, not the radio. None of these things that you guys think have the power is really powerful. It's not. Word of mouth is what scares the hell out of the studios, because the fact that 1,000 people can tell 10,000, and 10,000 can tell 100,000, and 100,000 can reach 10 million, and so forth and so on. This is what they're really scared of, and this is what they've been fighting to suppress, because they don't want people to know that they're thieves and liars, because the public will not support them. They will boycott them. They can actually make them close their doors, and it terrifies them. So this is why they have tried to discredit me, hide this story, because I am such a successful story and such a great example of how to beat them. So that scares the hell out of them. So if I went viral on Facebook and I went viral in the news and everybody gets to hear this story and they get to read the paper, they know how to beat the studios. That would stop the studios from stealing.
Sure.
I'm not trying to hurt their business. All I'm simply trying to do is to get them to change their ways and habits, to start honoring the people and paying the people, because the people support the industry, because one day they want to see their science fiction book on that screen. Come on, you'd like to see your work on the screen, but you don't want nobody to steal your work and see it on the screen. You want to have the honor, the credit, the prestige, because you worked all those years, and it came from your guts, from your hard work and sweat and tears. So all I'm trying to do, and please don't fight me, all I'm trying to do is get them to honor your work. We have great writers, great workers out here with great work. But when are you going to see it? Because they feel like this, if they can steal the cow, why do they need to buy it? Or why do you need to support somebody who won't buy your work? It doesn't make any sense to me. Why are you fighting me? I'm the victim. I'm trying to help
personally?
You to keep from no, not you. I'm talking about the universe.
In general. Yeah, in general. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm speaking to the people now. I'm speaking to the people. And
I'm
saying to them, go ahead.
It's funny, when you were announced to be on this show, somebody contacted me directly, and they just couldn't wait to put up, all of the naysayer information about you. I mean, the fact of the matter is, you're absolutely right about people trying to discredit other people. And my other thought is, and this was an individual, this was somebody who we saw him coming from about a mile away, but the fact of the matter is, there is an industry out there that is designed to do exactly what you said, to discredit people like you, to discredit the idea that people should stand up for themselves, and definitely to undermine the idea that you can fight and win. And there's a ton of money out there that is invested in that.
And you're absolutely 100% right. You're absolutely 100% right. No joke.
And so, now everybody who researches you, they go, oh, I read this, I read that. Oh, look at this from 2006, 2008, 2013. And the bottom line of all of this is that if you want to avoid the pitfalls, or at least try to avoid the pitfalls that you've done, there's some very fundamental things that you can do. The things that you discussed earlier, make sure your work is protected. Make sure your work is copyrighted. And then the other thing is, I think you're absolutely right. You have to have the conviction, the faith of your own conviction in yourself in order to go forward as a creative. Because if you don't have that conviction, if you don't have the stones to stand up for yourself, 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, you're going to get run over. And so they picked the wrong woman in you to try to do that sort of thing to. I'm just hoping that what other people get out of this is that they're going to have to not only stand up for themselves, but be prepared to do whatever is necessary to make sure they get what they're entitled to. Wouldn't that be a fair thing to say?
Yes, I agree with you. And I want to tell people it's the same thing that your kids are going through in school with the bullies. I started early on. Maybe that's where my courage came from. A bully tried to, attack me and harm me when I was in junior high. And I stood up against that bully, and that bully cowered and went on. I stood up for myself. I was tiny and little, and the bully was at least 3 or 4 times bigger than me. But I wasn't going to let anybody, I don't care, the bully looked like a giant over me. I don't care who they were or who you are, what you got, or what, I'm not going to let anybody bully me, and I'm not going to let anybody take what belongs to me.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have a hell of a fight.
As they already have.
Yes. I mean, I'm just telling you, I wish that I could go into the schools and talk to the kids, because I could solve this bullying really quickly. When I tell every little kid, stand up for yourself. No matter what, if you take a beating, go back and keep coming back up until you beat that bully down. Till you take them down. Keep getting back up. And you'll be surprised the miracles that will come out of you. And this is what I'm saying for everybody who has gone through any atrocity, whether it's big business, whether it's insurance company or other people who are intimidating you. Do not let anybody take anything or intimidate you. Say, I'm not going to take this. I'm not going to stand for this. Fight for your rights. Stand up. No matter how many times they knock you down in the dust, get up, dust yourself up, and go back in on them again until you win.
And that's
what
universal.
I did.
Yeah, that's universal. That's not racial. That's not gender. People should stand up for what it is that they believe in and what it is that they are. But you have to admit there's a whole industry out there that is designed to denature that idea. And that's the thing, that's the message that has to constantly be put out there so that people do keep up, people do keep fighting, and people fight for the things that are very important. I mean, where would we be in civil rights if we didn't have all of those great names do the things that they did continuously and at great risk and great peril? Look how many people died. It's the exact same notion. It's the exact same principles that, I guess it's encompassed in what you said earlier about this being, a great country and what it should stand for. And people forget about that. People forget those sorts of things in the course of their lives, either because maybe they're busy or they forgot or they, whatever it may be. Or like you said, people who had illnesses or they had disaster befall them. But by and large, that should be an abiding principle that everybody follows. Do you do any mentoring of the young? Do you teach or anything like that? Do you reach out to young people?
I've done a speaking engagement with the kids with the NAACP, and I've gone to colleges and private speaking to, and spoke to people just like I'm speaking right now.
Right.
And, I've encouraged people to stand up, So I've done a number of speaking engagements and events, and I love it. I don't know what people think I went through, or they think I went through something bad. I didn't go through anything bad. This is something I love. I love to fight. I love a good fight. It doesn't deter me. It doesn't wear me out, wear me down. No, I like sticking it to them. And if I can continue to stick it to everyone that does somebody wrong, I like to stand up and fight for injustice of all kinds. I don't care where the injustice is and what part of the world it's in. I like to stand up and fight for all injustice, because as evil comes up against one of us, it comes up against all of us.
Right.
You're not going to be exempt. You're not going to be exempt.
That's true. Now, do you get to travel very much or not?
Yes, I do. I travel often, and I do lots of events, and I do lots of media. That's why I told people can go on YouTube. There's over 1,000 of my interviews posted. And please go on and listen. Listen to some of my advice. Listen to what I'm talking about, the matrix. My work, awaken a lot of people to truth, awaken a lot of people to the programs and the illusion and the ignorance and the lies. And I think that's why my work is so phenomenal and why it is important that the work continues so people can continue with more of this work, continue to awaken, and continue to stand up and fight for what is right, what is theirs. I love standing on the side of God, with God, for God.
Mm-hmm.
For truth. I do it for truth.
Well, there's the what was that? The Superman thing for truth, justice, and the American way. All three of those things have been a theme that you've touched on through the interview tonight. For those people who are looking to get in touch with Sophia Stewart, her main website is matrixterminator.com, and not only is her work available, there's a lot of information about her intellectual property. Just out of my curiosity, when you talk about, I mean, and I haven't gotten to read all of your work, but you have like Terminator starting out, and notwithstanding the people, but apparently Skynet what grows into becoming the overriding computer control in the later volumes?
Well, Skynet actually turns into Homeland Security because I always stick closer to the truth of reality of what's going on now. So when people read my work and they see it, they're like, oh, man, this is real. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm talking about digital downloading and barcodes and body scanners and food scanners, computerized warfare with the drones. Download me, Trinity takes so she can fly the helicopter. I'm talking about this 30 years before it becomes a reality, in 1981. And now in Matrix 4, I'm talking about alien technology, how alien ships ran with, magnetic wing potions and the reversal of gravity and virtual penal systems, and how we'll have motion sensors on the highway, and how our driving license will be a swipe like a credit card, and the computer will have a drop box where we'll get our receipt and ticket, and our accounts will be debited because it'll be a cashless society. I'm talking about all the stuff and technology that's 15 years up the road, holograms, and, how our world is going to be 15 to 20 years from now. So
yeah, the way we're trending now. Yeah, we're trending now in that direction, yeah. And so for people who are interested in seeing the continuation of what the Matrix started, you've got, she has Matrix 4, and that's available on her website or other outlets. And that way you can keep up with the characters that you like and maybe even the characters that you love. And the good part that we got out of this is that you are going to continue writing in that same universe, so it's going to give people plenty of opportunity to see exactly where the story goes.
Yes, exactly. And you got to know that Matrix has black superheroes. Keanu Reeves, his father is Asian Polynesian, and Trinity, Carrie Ann Moss, she's Canadian, and these are black superheroes in leadership roles. And the whites in the movies are the bad guys. Because in white science fiction, black people are low on the totem pole. There may be one or two, and they die after the first 10 minutes. And they're the cause of the white people's problems. That's why they die out the first 10 minutes. And they don't see us in the future. So if you want to distinguish black artwork, Matrix and Terminator is black artwork created inside of America by Sophia Stewart. And it didn't come from Europeans. It goes all the way to the Great Kemet. And where the Great Kemet, ancient Egypt, that's where the Bible comes from. The Book of the Life, the Book of the Dead. That's where the Bible, a computer, the greatest technology ever created, encrypted in numbers, encoded. And you have to crack the codes in order to get the knowledge of God. So you got to look and see what black artwork is. Is black superheroes. It gave 3/4 of the world is black people. And they gave them black superheroes.
Right. Somebody in the chat room is asking, was Neo supposed to be black?
Of course. He's still portrayed by a black man. Asian Polynesian is black.
No. I meant. I think
Will Smith. Will Smith was supposed to portray.
I think they meant in your original book. In your original script, he was supposed to be black, right?
It was black superheroes. Yes.
Yeah.
I was written about in a newspaper article that I was going to come out with the first black science fiction with black superheroes. In fact,
right.
Julian Bond called me up and congratulated me, and so did Jesse Jackson. I celebrated and took pictures, went to his private birthday party, and the NAACP to their private events, and they celebrated me. A number of politicians and senators have celebrated with me and, and taking pictures. So these people know, but you guys don't know what the Matrix and Terminator is. It's black artwork. And yes, it was meant to be just what it is. And in fact, O.J. Simpson was supposed to play the Terminator, not Schwarzenegger. But he turned it down, naked without shame. And Will Smith was supposed to be Neo, but he turned it down to portray a white man, Jim West, in Wild Wild West. Yes, as being an actor, you can portray a white person, or you can portray a black person. You can portray an Indian, a Spanish, or whatever. That's what acting is all about. It's not about the color of somebody's skin. It's what they're portraying in the movie.
And hopefully how much talent they bring to the table.
Yes.
Because they still have to sell the character. They have to sell the character. They have to be able to do, to make the story real for people so that they can suspend disbelief.
Yeah, but there were black superheroes in the Matrix. The Oracle is black. Tank is black. Apox is black. Niobe.
Tank.
Come on,
Tank and his brother.
That's right. And what about all of the black people that was in Matrix 2? Come on, it was thousands of black people.
Oh, yeah. I dug that dancing scene.
Right. A lot of the counselors were black. Cornel West, one of the boxers. There was nothing but black people. There were more black people in one science fiction movie than ever in the life of the history of science fiction. How could you not know that Matrix was a black science fiction with black superheroes? Come on, folks. You're not blind. You're not blind by it all. You might not be able to hear it, but you're definitely not blind. You saw all the black people in leadership roles. Go look at the white science fiction movies. Look at the white science fiction movies. Look at the artwork. There are no black people in leadership roles. One or two that dies out the first 10, 20 minutes of the movie. Look at the X-Men. Go ahead.
Right. I think it's a testament to the quality of the writing and the idea that there were that many black characters at all. Because, Hollywood is just not into that. I mention this all the time, but, George Lucas had to self-fund Red Tails because there were but a handful of whites in it. So it's good that people see this, and it's great that you're continuing the saga. It would be a damn shame if you are not able to come to a good deal with a studio to continue the saga, to continue the multiracial aspect of the cast so that people can see. It's very important for kids to see people who look like them in laudable roles.
Why do you think we got Obama in the White House? Because of the Matrix?
Well, and I don't know about that, but I will say this: there are kids today who don't know anything other than a black president, which I think is pretty damn cool.
I'm saying to you that Matrix inspired Matrix people. Black people saw themselves in leadership roles in the Matrix.
Right.
So you know how phenomenally happy black people got to see themselves in leadership roles and heroic roles, that they were calling the shots. And none of the science fiction movies, go back and look at all of them. The Matrix is the only one, and won 4 Oscars, that have black superheroes in leadership roles.
Yep.
And the only one. and made over $1 billion by itself. How do I know? Because ABC told the people when they interviewed me, BET. So now, there's no way in the world you can say that Matrix is a white science fiction. It's not a white science fiction. Go back and look at the black people that are heroes in leadership roles.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, one of them, they try to disown Matrix. They would not claim Matrix 1 at the trademark. They tried to claim 2 and 3, and they got rejected. And then they tried to take the characters from the Matrix to add, but they didn't want the storyline because it was black superheroes in leadership roles.
Mm-hmm.
I can show this to you. I can prove it to you. I can show you the documents and let you judge on your own. What's greater than seeing the truth with your own eyes?
Well, I admit that that's true. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. See, that 2 hours went quick, didn't it?
Yes, but I've done 3 hours before, and I love it. So next time, if you want to extend a little bit, let me know. Let's do it because I want people out there fighting for their properties. I want people standing up. I want people helping other people to stand up. Loan some of your strength to the ones who are weaker.
Mm-hmm.
Any little thing you do will make a great change in this world. You'll be surprised.
Right, and the other thing is that there is no reason why we can't help each other. In a lot of instances, people watch other people flounder because they think that, that's going to increase their opportunities for life. But, we all sink or swim together.
Yes. That should be the motto. That should be the motto.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to say that this has been an interesting interview, because especially because of the information that you gave people. Because a lot of people, like you said, they don't know. You've got media companies who are invested in making sure that whatever narrative they want goes out, and sometimes the individuals who manage to do something different or overcome difficulties or just stand up for themselves don't get the opportunity to get their voice out. I'm glad that you've got about 1,000 different interviews on YouTube, and I hope as many people as possible find those interviews and even find this one too. I want to thank you for being here, and I guess I'm just going to have to go and buy me some books. How soon before you think your next installment is going to be out in that creative universe?
It's going to come out real quick. In fact, an A-list producer that worked with Spielberg has already actually bought it, and it's going to be a movie. And that's something that's going to be really phenomenal. So it's going to be soon. It's going to be soon, and I just want to keep things under wraps until it just come out and hit the media. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't want you to give anything away, but I mean, at least that's hopeful. When other people find out that something at least is on the drawing board, that gives them hope, especially for characters and for a creative universe that they already have a buy-in and they already have grown to like or love. So everybody keep an eye out for that. And when do you think the next book that you might have in this universe might be out?
It'll be soon, maybe in less than 4 months.
Wow.
But I want to, that quick. I just want to tell people, continue writing out there. A lot of work now can go on Netflix, pay-per-view streaming, iTunes, Apple. Just like Adam Sandler, he didn't cut away from the studios because he knows digital downloading of movies is going to be huge. We got 5 billion mobile devices, and we don't need the studios anymore to do anything. All we need is just some good work. So continue the good work out there. Continue believing in yourself. Continue writing and producing and publishing your work, even if you're self-publishing, because somebody is going to get your work, and it's going to go up on the screen, and it's going to be a movie. Keep that in mind, everybody.
And they need creatives. They need creatives, but because without creatives, without writers, they have nothing to do.
They have nothing to do, nothing at all. Cannot make a dime. Remember, the writers are the most important thing when it comes to the studios and it comes to the production companies. You've got to have a writer. All
right. Well,
a writer.
I will. You probably haven't heard, but we usually have Jarvis join us, and he takes us out and says good night. And if you hang on for a second, if anybody else has any more questions in the chat room, I can ask them because they'll still be able to hear us, and then we'll call it an evening. Okay. So thank you very much for spending your time with us. I'm hoping that we can get you on, especially when you have something new coming out. I think that would be pretty cool. So don't think we're not going to have you back, okay?
That would be wonderful. I'm very grateful and thankful that you have me on your show. I enjoyed it. Next time I hope someone could speak to me and ask some questions, but it's okay. I've done that quite a lot.
Okay, cool. Jarvis?
All right. Thanks, William. Ms. Stewart, I really appreciate you taking your time out to come over and share some of your wisdom and experience with us. It's completely invaluable. I love it. Like William said, as soon as you get some information for us on your next book, make sure to drop that in on the site and let us know about it because I'm excited. I'm about to, within the next week, probably within this weekend, get Matrix 4 so I can continue that journey that I started with the Third Eye and those characters in that specific presentation. So thank you again for coming on and sharing with us. And William, as usual, you always make it entertaining. This has been a very spirited interview, and I'm excited. I'm still sitting over here ecstatic about all the stuff that we just got to discuss. So thank you again, Ms. Stewart. Thank you, William.
You're welcome very much.
Awesome. And anytime you have any new videos or anything, please come on and share with us because we have like 4,000 registered members on the site. And whenever you drop something new, I'll send it out to everybody on the site so they can be aware of it.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Very welcome.
We definitely want to keep in touch.
Definitely.
Well, I hope so because I'm a member of the Black Science Fiction roster, and I joined for a reason because I believe in our people. I believe in Black Science Fiction. I believe that you can do anything and everything. And I wish that we would have our own Black Grammys. I wish we would have our own Black Oscars. That's right. Black everything. Tonys, you know what I'm saying? The whole 9 yards.
Well, and that just makes sense. Let me just say this before we go. Black folks in this country represent $1 trillion worth of economic power. And they don't often express that thought because, well, I don't know why, but that's an awful lot of financial power that we have in this country. And I think that if we bend our efforts to exploiting our own economic might, things can't help but get better.
Yes.
That's my quote.
Every race does it. Every race segregate and they become wealthy except for blacks. We used to have Black Wall Street first, but now it's White Wall Street. But it was Black Wall Street first. I just wish that we could have our own Black Grammys, like the Spanish Grammys. If all the Black people would get together and make that possible, that would be so phenomenal. It would be so phenomenal.
Yes, it would.
All right. Well, we're doing our Black Science Fiction Society to make change in the industry for all creators, whether you're comic book, movie, books, whatever. We're doing what we can do to make that change. And we encourage everyone else to not just sit on your laurels and complain, but get out here and make things happen for yourself.
And on that note, thank everybody for listening. This show is on every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Tell your friends, tell your family, bring a friend, and listen to us live.
All right. Good night, everybody. I will be back in about 10 minutes on the main site. Have a good weekend.